So my cat is purring very loudly. I think it's going to affect the video, so very soothing but very noisy. Or shall we just carry on? You know that feeling when you watch an amazing movie or read an incredible book or a fantastic TV show and it finally ends and you're like, oh my god, what just happened to me? Like it was that good. That's the gratitude I want to express this week. And by the way, I'm doing this as a kind of a personal challenge. Apparently, thousands of studies suggest that if you can practice gratitude weekly, even daily, it reduces your stress levels, among other ultra amazing things for the human body. And I really want to try and give it a go, so that's what I'm doing this week and every week before I send you your good luck for the coming week. So back to the original question, you know when you watch, for example, an amazing TV show and it finally comes to the end and you've absolutely loved it and you're like, oh my god, what just happened to me? Like I feel different, I feel changed. I feel emotional, I feel incredible after watching that. And I wish there was a word for that feeling because I don't think there is one. Not in English anyway. You loved it, but much more than you just generally love something. Like it kind of overwhelms you. You need a moment to just sit down, calm down, let it kind of flow through you. You put the book down, you pause the credits on the TV show, and just think about it for a moment. And I think you need that moment because you've actually changed. Your mental state has changed. It's not where it was a few moments ago. And maybe like the rest of the day kind of seems irrelevant. Like that was the highlight and that's the end of your day. You know that feeling? A really good example is when you go to the cinema and you're watching a movie with tens of other people and the movie finishes and it was incredible and you're all waiting quietly as the credits roll and then the lights go on. And like you're suddenly returned back to normal from this incredible experience you were in and you really feel like you were in that moment. And now you're back to normal again. People start shuffling around and that return to reality is a really weird sensation. Because in some cases, I think that movie is like a world that you never really want to leave. It's like a dream you don't want to wake up from it. You want to stay there, you want to be there, live there. You want to experience it continually. And there's something extremely intoxicating, very overwhelming about that experience. It's like a completely different chemical reaction you have in your brain, and I don't think we have a word for it, and I wish that we did have a word for it. So today, I'm really grateful that I can get that emotion. To get so excited about a movie or a TV show or a piece of music is something I'm really grateful that I have. I really like being able to get that deep into something and have it envelop me in that way. It somehow makes me feel just a little bit more human. A little bit more fulfilled somehow. Like it was the answer to a call I didn't really know I was actually making. I've felt consistently like this since I was a kid about certain pieces of art in my life. When I was in my granddad's house when I was 7 years old, he had an MC Escher book and I picked it up and I remember being completely transformed by this book. And my granddad walked in as that was happening and he looked at me as if to say, I know what you're going through right now. And he said something like that to me. He kind of came over to me and kind of put his arms around my shoulders and said, this is yours now. You take this book. This is for you. Take it home. And I'm really, really grateful to him for that moment. It completely changed me forever. I'll never forget that moment. And each time I have that feeling, that overwhelming feeling of something that I absolutely love, it's part of me somehow. I'm grateful that I get that feeling. The first time was with my granddad for MC Escher. And all through the years since then of loving MC Escher, things have resonated with me that look and feel and kind of taste like MC Escher. So you can see the picture here in Monument Valley on the wall maybe. Anyone who knows this app, I love this game. But it's like being in an MC Escher world. So for me, it's just default center. It just goes straight to my core. Right around that moment of MC Escher, maybe a little bit old, I was maybe 8 years old, I remember watching Watership Down, which came on TV, the original movie version, which is pretty scary when you're a kid, but absolutely intoxicating and overwhelming at the same time. I was completely moved by it. And then the soundtrack, the big song from the movie, Bright Eyes, starts playing. And that combination for me was just something extraordinary. I remember the key change, I remember the key it was in. I could just go and play it on the piano right then because I could just hear it. And it just completely, it resonated with me because I was on the same frequency as this piece of art. And I love that feeling. I hope you have that feeling too. I'm sure you do. And I want a word for it. So I'm writing this now because just this weekend gone, I watched the final episode of Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events on Netflix. I don't know if you know this show, and if you haven't seen it, I really, really recommend it. It's the most recent experience I have of having this overwhelming feeling of a piece of art, which I love having consistently and I want to have as much as possible. I loved the original movie with Jim Carrey, and the three kids were really, really good. It was just quirky, whimsical, fun, just slightly steampunk. You couldn't decide what era it was in. Very, very clever. I love that kind of dreamy world. And that sort of sad, melancholic feeling from the books was right there. It was just really good. Jim Carrey's my favourite actor. Everything was just really nice. I had a really nice experience. I also knew, when I was watching the movie, who did the music. I could tell by the signature of how it was being played and what they were playing, who had written the music. And I went away immediately afterwards, checked on Google, and oh yeah, that guy. So that was really nice to me. So the whole thing was great. So when I saw on Netflix that Lemony Snicket's was out as a series, I was like, oh my god, who's in it? Is Jim Carrey back for a series? No. Someone else, different actors, entirely different situation altogether. It was Neil Patrick Harris as the main role of Count Olaf, and I wasn't very interested by that. Neil Patrick Harris is great, great actor. I just don't particularly like him, haven't particularly liked his other works, and I wasn't moved to watch something which for me would be not Jim Carrey and maybe somehow less. And I don't know why, I don't know what changed and made me just give it a go. It was from nothing I'd read, no one had suggested it to me, but I gave episode 1 a go. A couple of weeks ago now, maybe, a few weeks ago, and I loved it. Like, I was just completely moved from no to oh yeah, in one episode. Neil Patrick Harris, performance of a lifetime, like he was born to play this role. Incredible. And then episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, first season done, end of the season. It was, I mean, he just got better and better. The cast as well, the three kids are really, really well cast. Poe the banker, if you know who that is, he is exceptional in this, absolutely brilliant. And the narrator I've loved for a really long time, been looking forward to see something where it's just his vehicle to shine in, and he shines in this. All to say, I've been completely moved by it. I got to the end of the series yesterday, beautiful finish, really nice music, the whole thing was done very well, kept the melancholiness right to the end, for me a really good finish, and I just had to sit back and go, oh, that's just, and I've been moved again. So from not wanting to watch it at all, I now think it's in my top 5 Netflix TV shows. I love it that much. And I love how far my feelings have come or have been led by this, and I really want to reproduce that in the work that I do. But I also want lots of people to experience that feeling for themselves anyway. I think it makes life for everyone better when you can go that deep into something and love something that much. The first book which transformed me when I was about 9, I think it was The Hobbit. So 7 MC Escher, 8 Watership Down, 9 The Hobbit, given to me by my dad. I read it and I was like, Dad, this is this is absolutely incredible. He's like, yeah, you like that? Here's 3 more. Plonked Lord of the Rings down in front of me. And so from 10 years old, I was reading Lord of the Rings. So 7, 8, 9, 10, I had these awesome, inspiring, fantastic moments from this art that was in front of me. And I think that's why I create. I want to make worlds like that I want to be in, that I want to live in, that other people can connect to and come and be a part of as well. That gives them those little moments of euphoria every day, that complete overwhelm of all your senses. If I may, I'd like to give you one example of playing music when I'm supporting artists. So I've played for Carly Rae Jepsen now about 10 or 11 times. Every time she comes, her whole entourage, her team, and she are absolutely wonderful. It's like they're having the time of their lives. And I get to just have a little taste of that when I'm playing with her. You know, 3-minute song here, 15-minute set there. I only have a little taste of it, but the big lights, the big cameras, the big TV shows, the big interviews, the fun, the smiles, the hair, the makeup, the outfits, the music. You know, we're talking about Call Me Maybe, one of the biggest songs of this century by miles. And I get to play it with her. It's a fantastic overload. And people like that, you know, they're experiencing that every day. They fly into Tokyo, they go to Osaka, then they go to Kuala Lumpur, then they go to Bangkok, then they go back to New York, and then they go back to Europe. What an amazing experience. I just get a little taste and I'm completely overwhelmed by it. It's complete magic. For me, these pieces of art and these experiences just make you want to just curl up and end the day. When it's a lovely feeling, I want to go to bed and just enjoy that warm feeling. When it's a really sad piece of music or a really sad movie, it's the same. I just want to end the day there and just let myself just go through and process what I've been through. And I prefer to do that just in bed with the lights off, covers over my head, and just curl up and think about it. I've been moved that much. For someone like Kylie Rae Jepsen or Neil Patrick Harris to know that they've been able to move millions of people at the exact same time in the same way must be an extraordinary feeling, and I'm very grateful to them that they're able to produce those things. Because for me, the single biggest thing I experience when I have these moments, and I've always thought this every single time, is wow, what it must have been like to make that moment, to actually be part of the crew, the Kylie Rae Jepsen crew, or the part of the Lord of the Rings team who made the movies, or MC Escher himself when he's drawing it, when he finally finishes it, and he steps back and goes, oh my god, what have I done? If he even does that, I think he must do that. That is just amazing to me. And I just wish that I had the smallest part in anything to do with this beautiful vehicle. A few years ago, I got to be on the press tour for the Hobbit movies for Japanese TV. So I got to interview the actors, the director. I went to the stages and the sets in New Zealand. I mean, kid in a candy store for me, right? From where I've come from, reading it as a child, to now interviewing the actors, and it was just overload for me. But it gave me a little part, a little taste in this experience. I was part of that promotion and that project. Just a little part, but I felt really connected to it in this brand new way. And again, very overwhelming for me. So anyway, I don't think we have a word for this feeling when you love something just so much that you can't really contain yourself. This feeling specifically about art is what I'm trying to get at. Rather than people or sports or animals, pets. It's specifically this emotion you get from experiencing a piece of art that I'm trying to put a word to. We don't have a word for that in English, not that I know of. We don't have one in Spanish that I can think of. We don't have one in Japanese. It's probably like a Scandinavian word, like a Norwegian word or a Swedish word that just encapsulates that. It's probably really long as well, like 20 letters long. But I wish we had one in English, and I feel like we should make one that describes that love, that depth of love. Anyway, that is what I'm extremely grateful for, that I can experience those feelings. I hope I make them in my music and my art as well. I hope you experience those feelings as well, and we need to think of a word for what that is. We need to create a word. And we also need to name this studio, which I will be able to show you next week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a good start to your Monday, and here's your luck for the week ahead.